Let's welcome in Dipan Mehta into the conversation. Dipan, good morning. Always a pleasure to have you on. So, plenty of stocks to discuss. Starting with, actually, I'll start with Hindustan Aeronautics because of this whole buzz around the GE engine deal and more engines coming, large deal as usual. Everything is big when it comes to HAL, right? $1 billion. What's your sense on the stock and the valuations now? Would you look at dips to buy?
Yeah, good morning, Surbi, and thank you for having me on your show. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a buy on dip story, but HAL has been well discovered. Its prospects have been discussed threadbare, and we all know that it has got a very strong order book position, so great visibility. And defense stocks, not only in India but globally, are in focus. They are the fancy of the investors. So a lot of the positives have been captured in the stock price. So I think that the risk return doesn't really favor if you buy at these levels, but at corrections, certainly I think on a quiet day when the stock has is not in the news, one could look at entering into it afresh. I think existing investors, for them it's an easy choice to remain invested, companies going from strength to strength. And I wouldn't worry too much about the valuations. I think globally we are seeing valuations of defense contractors inch up as well. And investors are looking for stories in that particular space. So positive, but I think it's more like a hold at this point of time than a buy.
Right. What's your view on Interglobe Aviation? Because, periodically there are these supply events that happen from the Gangwal family, but now they're left with just about 3.5% stake, assuming today's stake sale goes through, and in all likelihood it will. Immediately after a stake sale, it is a 150-day lock-in period, and the stock enters the Nifty as well. Things looking good for them fundamentally. They've gained market share as well. So do you think this dip on Interglobe Aviation, despite the stock being at record high, will be a buying opportunity?
Good morning, Mangalam. First, a disclosure that Interglobe Aviation is there in our portfolios and that of our clients, and we are extremely positive on the stock. I would rate it as a part of, should be a part of a core holding of investors. And this is one company, I think, where really the market share is so huge and the runway for growth is still quite strong. And they haven't even scratched the surface when it comes to international routes. A very well managed and efficient company, reasonable valuations, but you have to stomach the volatility in earnings because there are far too many moving points. There is, of course, the exchange rate, there is the aviation fuel, and there are seasonalities and geopolitical events as well. But point to point, like if you have a holding horizon of 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, this company can deliver solid returns. And I'm glad it's part of the Nifty because anyway within the Nifty, we were struggling to find companies which can show sustainable growth above that 15-16%. And certainly Interglobe Aviation is one of them.
Dipan, hi, morning. These tariffs as they go into effect, right? From a listed universe perspective, the impact is quite limited. I'm sure you've spoken to people in your circle who have businesses, etc. It's going to be tough till the time that they stay, and I hope this 25% gets knocked off soon. But we don't know timelines to it now. That's come into effect. For the purpose of the conversation here, from a listed perspective, I mean, how do you think about implications? I was thinking for one area, we talk about textiles and gems and jewelry, etc., and those stocks, some of them have taken a hit. But banks and financial services, right? They are the most economy exposed, and you think. Especially, I don't know about exposures, and we'll have that data. Our colleague Ritu will work on that, and we'll put that out in a bit. But do you think it's an area where we need to be a little watchful?
Good morning, Prashant. First, the good news that the worst is over. Now, whatever happens from here will be positive. So beyond 50%, we can't expect tariffs from US President Trump. And now the fact that this particular event has happened, it has been discounted. And you're right, I think end of the day, it's not impacting much of the listed players, but it's certainly sentimentally negative, and it does cast kind of, I would say, a cloud on the economic growth. But the government is pushing very hard on interest rate front, on GST cut, on taxation, and on pushing private sector and public capex. So the government is doing everything under its control to boost the economy and kind of negative or neutralize the effect of this particular tariff. And whatever happens, I think economy, companies, industries will deal with it and move on. They'll find new markets or they'll take manufacturing overseas. So I think that will take place in a matter of time. But at least the worst is over in the price per se. From your specific question about banks, no, I don't think, banks are going to get impacted so much because of this particular event. These days, lending to corporates, MSME, SMEs is very, very, I would say, disciplined, and they have got good coverage over there. Banks are far more vigilant than ever before. So you could have a minor creep in NPAs, but by and large, I don't think that banks will be impacted because of this particular event. But as I said, I think the most positive thing is that it's over and done with. This uncertainty we've been dealing with is now finally over. And I think markets and investors will kind of move on. In any case, you're looking at India-centric companies as well, a lot of other investors, and that particular strategy always paid off.
Absolutely. I hope that is the case, right? I mean, it's a small creep, and that's it. But we'll, as I said, try and get the data out and put it up for you as we kind of go along through the course of the day.